Yes, you read that right. We are doing it again. Hey everyone, welcome back to my channel. Today we're going to be doing oil painting 2.0. So if you haven't seen the first time around, you definitely should, and I will leave it linked in the iCard. But basically what happened last time, I did a really big mistake. That first time didn't go very well, and it was mainly user error. Or so I speculated at the time. So basically, I used an underpainting of linseed oil and it muddied everything that I put on top. Everything was slipping and sliding and I couldn't make anything stick. Like I couldn't make the paint stick to the paper and it was a complete disaster. The painting to this day is rumored to still be drying and still be slightly tacky to the touch, allegedly. So that's how big the mistake was, and I wanted to give this a second try, and I've been waiting for the paper to dry, and I'm sick and tired of waiting for it to dry. I'm just gonna flip the page over and start a new painting. That's the mistake of doing things in a sketchbook. If you fuck up right in the beginning, you kind of have to wait for everything to dry. So today we're going to give it a second try, and I'm going to be a bit smarter about it. First of all, I'm not gonna do an underpainting. Second of all, I'm going to be careful with the paints because I think that's what happened last time. My paints are very cheap quality and they throw a lot of oil everywhere when you square the paint out. They're not very creamy and stuff when they come out of the tube. So I'm going to avoid the oil deposits and I'm gonna like try to soak them up with a rag and avoid like a lot of oil in my painting, and hopefully that will fix the issues I had last time, and this time it will be a bit more enjoyable because I definitely want to learn oil painting and I want to be able to do oil painting because I think I like the concept of it being constantly wet and you can always paint on top and fix it in a couple days and whatever. So I really want to try it out and I want to become a bit more comfortable with oil paints before I start doing stuff that are bigger or in more expensive materials or like canvases, you know. So I definitely wanted to give this a second try. So yeah, that being said, let's just start with the whole process and get our gesso out and start prepping our paper. So as I mentioned before, what I use to prep the paper is some gesso. I use this to protect the paper because regular paper won't take oil paints that well because of the oil. So you have to gesso it beforehand, and usually I do about 3 layers when prepping a surface. But last time I did 3 layers with the cat painting and I thought it was kind of overkill, so this time around I decided to do 2 in different directions. That's what you're supposed to do, right? You're supposed to go from left, right, and then up, down, and then left, right again to fill in spots that might have not been filled in if you did it all in one direction, if that makes any sense. But yeah, I did feel this time around that it was better to do just 2 coats, and I'm pretty happy with how it turned out. And I did let them completely dry in between coats because, you know, it would take even longer to dry if you didn't do it that way. Okay, so now that our surface is ready to go and completely dry, it's time for us to start the painting process. So I'm gonna pull out all my art materials and we're gonna start prepping our paint and our palette and start painting. Okay, so here's where I fucked up. So midway doing the whole palette prep and stuff, I kind of forgot that I don't know what to paint. I don't have an idea of what I'm going to be painting. I don't have a reference picture. I don't have anything. So now I've had to stop everything that I was doing and then figure out what is it that I'm going to be painting so I can choose the colors to paint and everything. So after searching the web a little bit, I found these really cute pomegranate pictures. And I don't know why, but recently I've been loving looking at pomegranates. It's not fruit I eat often. I don't know why I've been obsessed with them. When I go to grocery shopping and they're there, they look so pretty and colorful and bright. And I've seen trees with them. And, it's just they've been motivating me. I don't know. So when I saw pomegranate on Pinterest, I was like, yes, this is what I'm going to be painting. Yes, 100%. This is it. This is it. So, as you can clearly see, I started off by sketching the pomegranates. Now, I was supposed to be filming this part, but I didn't press record for some reason, so I'm sorry, but this is all you get, unfortunately. But yeah, I started out by sketching out the pomegranates, and I decided to do that with an acrylic paint pen. I followed this artist that she usually only uses oil paints, and she does this a lot. And when I was going to sketch, I thought, well, pencil on acrylic is painful, so let me just get my paint pen, and that's what I did. Luckily, I do have a red paint pen. I only have two colors, white and red was perfect. And I thought it was amazing because it dries off pretty well, and you can just paint over it, and it's perfect, and it was fantastic. And I did outline where the lighter and brighter parts were going to be, and again, I did do the shadows, as you can probably see. And then I just started going in with the paint. And I did this in a very like slow and methodical way. I was really thinking it all through because I didn't want a repeat of last time. I didn't want to go in and paint like I'd paint with gouache. And I decided to change it up and just go, section to section, color to color, and just methodically put brush to paper, I guess. And it went really, really well. I was able to mix the paints. I was able to play around with other paints. I realized that going in with like white and pre-mixed white doesn't work as well as just going in with the white and mixing it on the paper. That's the thing about oil paints, is that you can mix it all on the paper. And I was able to lay down the shadows, lay down the highlights how I wanted. I did struggle a little bit with the white highlights because they tend to mix with the underneath layer. So I guess that's something I have to learn to do a little bit better. But it was definitely nice to just be able to mix in the paints and then go in and be able to mix that paint with the paints that are already on the surface, and it's just a seamless blend. Obviously, it wasn't super seamless because this is my second time painting with them, but I was while painting, I was like, okay, I know what I need to do to be better at this, and I was getting the technique down on my mind and like what I need to do next. And it was very interesting to like go through that, in my mind while I was painting. It was very relaxing also, mind you, so very, very nice for me. One thing that I also did that I'm so proud of myself is like I struggle with color theory a lot, and especially with shadows I gravitate and do the newbie mistake of going towards like black and white, right? So this time around, I actually thought about like red. What's the opposite of red in the wheel color? In the color wheel, I know this is what I need, and I went with blue. It looks fucking fantastic. Thank God I thought about that, and I actually put like what I'm learning into practice, which is the hardest part, and it worked so wonderfully well. And I'm so happy of like how it ended up turning out. Like I'm very, very proud of myself for being able to do that. Another thing I realized throughout this process is how fun painting still lifes is. So here's the thing. I've never liked painting still lifes, but I've never actually painted them. I have done in the past when I was very much younger, very, very young. I did with charcoal. I did not enjoy it. And the whole circles with light and shadow and all of that, and you try and whatever. I never enjoyed it. But painting them, especially in oil paints, that it's all wet and you can just mix around the colors and you can really mix them up and make them look really blended. I had a lot of fun, funny enough. And I realized I actually enjoy this. So I now have like a Pinterest board. Where I kind of like while I was looking for this, I started saving a few like boards that I liked. So I'm kind of not only like I want to do more of these like oil paints, but I also want to do more still lives, because funny enough and surprisingly enough, I actually enjoyed still life painting. I swear to you, it's so unexpected coming from me. Even to myself, it surprises me because it's not something I tend to like. I never saw the interest in it. I've never understood why people do it so much. Like, there's a lot of amazing painters that just paint still lifes, and even though I do admire their their art, I've never realized, like, why the hell do they do this? It's painstakingly long because it's very realistic, and also like it's just a thing. It's just a thing sitting there. So now I know why they do it, and I'm definitely looking forward to like doing it more often now. So I'll just leave you with the last few steps of the painting process, and I'll see you in a little bit. Okay, so I have a lot of things to say, and before I show you guys the finished piece, I want to talk a little bit about how this time went. So to sum it up very easily, it was the paint's fault the first time around. It was the paint's fault, it was not my fault. Okay, the underpainting was my fault, but the rest was completely the paint's fault. This time around, I did what I said in the beginning that I was going to do, and I sucked up the excess oil and I used just the creaminess of the paint this time around, and I didn't mix up the paint with the oils, just to, you know, I was very careful with that. And I used the other paints, the older paints that I knew were gonna work, and it worked beautifully. The paints were creamy, I was able to blend stuff, I was able to paint on the canvas, the paper, and not have it just slip and slide everywhere. It's definitely something that requires technique, and I was feeling myself motivated, and I was feeling like, okay, I'm getting a hang of this technique thing whilst painting this, and it was actually pretty fun. I don't know, it was just so fun to paint the still life. It was actually something interesting, and now I'm kind of curious to do it again, and I've saved a few still life references that I saw on Pinterest, so I'll probably be doing some of those in the future. One thing that I do think is, even though the paints were adhering pretty well and they weren't slipping and sliding, I do feel like my acrylic gesso wasn't helping the paints to, you know, stick to the paper that well. I've seen a few artists applying acrylic gesso and then sanding down the paper, and you know, the reasons were always like, oh, it's to take out the brush marks from the gesso. I don't like it, but you can keep it if you want. And so I was like, I don't really mind it, I'll just keep it. And now I've realized that maybe it also helps to take off that shine of the acrylic, and maybe the paint adheres a little bit better. I didn't feel like it was an issue with the paint, but yes, with the gesso. So I think next time around, I'm going to try and sand down the paper with a really fine sandpaper and see if that helps take out that slight thing that I noticed this time around. One thing that I also realized was that it's the difference between oil paints and everything else, right? Because acrylics dry really fast. Gouache also dries pretty fast, and watercolor, you wait for it to dry before you do the next layer. So when you're working with a medium that's completely wet, you have to account for that in your brain. So when you're painting and before you're painting, you have to account for, okay, what am I going to apply first, what am I going to apply later? So I know that some people do lighter colors first with oils and then go with darker. Others do darker to lighter. I'm used to doing intermediate to then light and then dark, so I'll just flip, like, you know, do that. And I found myself having to calculate before painting, which is a kind of different way of seeing things, and kind of a different way of experiencing painting. I found that very intriguing, and I don't know if that's just me, or, you know, but I found that very intriguing and very curious. And I definitely am very motivated to try oil painting again because of that. And also I had fun. The first time around was so frustrating, and I was enjoying, but I was like, oh god, this is going bad very fast. And this time around, I had a lot of fun. I keep looking to the side because I'm looking at the painting because it's so pretty. And I cannot even explain to you how pretty this painting looks. It's juicy, it's colorful, it's bright, and it's just, it haunts me. I'm constantly looking at it because it looks so good. And I definitely want to try oil painting again, and I'll definitely do it again. I just have to wait for it to dry. Now, God knows how long that'll take. But yeah, I'm gonna show you guys the finished reveal, the up-close shots, and you let me know what you think, because I'm pretty happy about it. So don't rain on my parade, but, you know, let me know what you think. Let me know what you think. Okay, let's look at the finished piece. I hope you guys enjoyed this whole thing. I had a lot of fun, and if you want to see more oil painting content from me, let me know. Obviously, I only have this one sketchbook to oil paint in, so I'm gonna have to wait for it to dry. Let me know if you want to see how this whole adventure of oil painting goes, and I will definitely keep on sharing it with you guys. If you have any tips and tricks, if you see anything that I did not as well in this video, let me know in the comments down below. If you have experience oil painting, I'd love to get some feedback, because this is again a very difficult medium. That being said, I hope you guys enjoyed this video, and I hope to see you in my next one. And I also wanted to say hello to all the new subscribers. Thank you so much for joining me in my channel, and I hope you enjoy my content and everything. And yeah, I'll see you guys on my next video. Bye.